In this episode, we're going to talk about alternative ways to work to achieve twice as much while working half the time, why taking time off boosts your productivity, and how to get your brain to solve problems for you while you're relaxing. Also, we're joined by Sam Ovens, who's Hormozi's business partner. He's the founder of the next big community platform, Skool.com, that's valued at over $1 billion. And we're diving into why fun is the biggest productivity hack, how to develop your intuition to make the right decisions, how to get clear on your vision, and our little side quest for this episode is to make him laugh at inappropriate stuff, like the Instagram page Kids Getting Hurt, or some little fun Dan Pena clips. We'll see. So put on your seatbelts. Let's get into it. I actually thought about some fascinating alternative ways of working. Because what if you could work half the time and actually get twice as much done? Wouldn't that be the biggest L if you worked more and you got less done? Like, think about the travels and adventures that you miss out on, the vacations, the trips, the memories, all of that, and you actually achieved less. I can't think of a bigger L. And so this viewer sent this to me, which is this blog that you can only find with the Wayback Machine. The Wayback Machine, if you don't know, if you're an idiot like Imad,
I didn't know.
It's a tool that you can use to go back in time and find screenshots, well, not screenshots, but like captures of websites. You could even go, I think probably Facebook, YouTube, and see what they look like in 2009 before COVID was invented.
So did it just go and like screenshot every single?
No, I think common websites. I don't know how many, but for example, here you can see there's like all these shots from all these different times. So in May and September. Anyways, the website is called sabbatical.blog. And the idea of this whole blog is this guy who was writing about it, he started taking 7th-week sabbaticals. So originally a sabbatical is a period of paid leave granted to a university teacher or other worker for a study or travel, traditionally 1 year for every 7 years worked. So you work for 7 years and then you can go on a sabbatical that you're paid for a year to study some other field, to take some time off. And when
you still get paid for that whole year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Paid leave. And what this guy did was like, I need something like that because I was burned out and all that. But he was like, I can't wait 7 years for some time off. So what if I do a little version of it? And so what he does is I work 6 weeks and take off every 7th week. So basically every 2 months you take off a whole week. And that means you take off, like 7.5 weeks per year. And in very, frequent intervals. He also pays his employees to take off every 7th week. We don't have unlimited time off. We have mandatory time off. So the key thing that he talks about is you don't schedule it around when the holidays happen anyways. You don't go, you know what, I think in December when, that's when I put one of my sabbaticals. No. You set it in and you schedule it and then you commit to it. And if you think about it, that's actually way more challenging than saying I'm gonna work way more. Like, how, if I told you take a week off while you are like in the middle of building your thing, like, isn't that way more challenging?
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I'm a firm believer in momentum. And I think sometimes when you're just in that zone and you have momentum, whatever you do not cut off that momentum. So I think, and I don't know how he's done it, but like, I think that could be also detrimental to the company, because imagine you have a big project coming up and you lose your top player because it's that 7th week he has. I'm like, all right, let's scrap that. Shut up, sit down, and get the shit done.
Well, I see that. But I like this idea of working in sprints, and you've talked about this before as well. And I think this is that. It's you have these 6-week sprints, and then 6 weeks, and then you take the 7th week off. It's just like, you have there's this milestone to look forward to where you're just like, okay, got to get this thing done before taking the 7th week off.
Do you have your weekends off too in the weeks or not?
I think in his case, yeah.
Okay, just making
I
sure.
think in his case, yeah.
Because imagine with like 6 weeks straight without weekends.
Nah,
that's insane. Doesn't make sense at that point.
But this makes me wonder, what other ways are there to work, right? And here's the thing, like, you might be thinking, how would this make me more productive, right? Because like if I work more, I should get more done, right? But there's so much research that suggests that working too much actually kills your productivity. One of them being Parkinson's law. I'm sure you've heard of it, right? However much time you allocate to a task, that's how long it takes. And so there's so many times where you have this big task in front of you and you're like, oh, this is going to take me a week. This is going to take me 3 hours. And then a really powerful question you can ask yourself is, how could I do this in 20 minutes? And it forces a completely different way of thinking, which is, okay, I actually need to get help from this person and they'll tell me what to do. They're already an expert. I'm going to pay them. Or I'm not going to pay them. I'm just going to ask them. I just haven't even thought about it before because they're my friend. I can just ask them. Or sometimes it makes you go, you know what? I have these 5 things I need to do. If I only had 20 minutes, I would only pick this one thing because this other thing doesn't really matter. Doing this one thing would also take care of the other 3. And I actually just need to do this one thing, right? That's Parkinson's law. The other thing is like this linearity bias that we inherently have, right? So we think 1 unit in is 1 unit out. And we all logically know that, but it's not how we're actually operating. It's one thing knowing it, another is actually living by it, right? And so actually some tasks you put 1 hour in, it's 100 units of output, right?
I think that is one of the most powerful things I think we've said on the podcast that I think a lot of people don't really understand because their brain is programmed to believe things in a specific way. Like, for instance, like...
I like how you say there. Like it's like...
No, people in general.
Yeah.
Well, most people. Us.
Take some responsibility is what I'm saying.
Jesus Christ. All right. Yes, us. Put in perspective. It's kind of like...
Especially you, Imad.
Some people...
Tell them how you're messing up.
I'm sorry, guys. Sorry for hurting your feelings. I'm looking at the camera. Are you good? You guys feel better? Message me in the comments and let me know. I'm sorry for offending you. We good? Can I get back into it?
Yeah.
It's this concept where people think I need to have 7 businesses fail so I can have my 8th successful one. And in doing so, you actually shoot yourself in the foot because one of those businesses could have been great. But in your head, you're like, no, I need to fail. When in reality, maybe your first business can be the thing that blows up. It's kind of like this thing that I saw in actors where back in the old days when I did acting, I would see people say, oh, dude, I need to be a featured extra. And then I need to be a regular character in a small film.
It has to be
and it has to be this. And then finally I get a serious regular role. And then once I get a serious regular role, then I'll become a regular movie principal character. Then I'll be a blockbuster star. And then Steven Spielberg will like bring me on and like, I'll finally be a famous actor. When in reality, some people, their first movie was with Steven Spielberg and they've never shot anything before because they just had the right look, they had the right confidence, and they just did it right. But it's also the difference between them was with their belief. Their belief that they had nothing like limiting them. In their head, everything was possible.
Yeah.
And that created,
Yeah, we make these arbitrary rules in our minds where it has to be this way. And same thing with having a unit of input and then a unit of output. Right? We think it has to be this many hours. Also, how many times have you made a plan for the day? Like, hey, I need to get this done today and this and this. You go and do it. It doesn't take as long as you thought it would. You crushed it and it's 2 p.m. And you're like, I can't stop working now. I got to do something. And then you grab the next thing on your mind. And yes, you're doing more, but that thing that you're then working on is probably not this big like leverage needle mover, right?
100%.
And then you just fill that time with whatever, like, oh, I've got something else, like, oh, let me do laundry. But like, okay, but you could have just hired someone to do the laundry for you or just not do the laundry.
Well, you worked.
Why do we need to do laundry anyways?
You worked 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
But did you really work? Because the reality is, out of 8 hours a day, you're only working maybe 1 hour focus. But if you actually took those 8 hours and you focus on all 8 hours, do you understand how much you would get done?
Yeah, and even that I think is not realistic because if you really do deep work, you can really only do like 4 hours. And this is the next big thing where working more actually makes you less productive is the perceived your perceived importance radar goes out of balance, whatever you want to call it, right? So when you're busy and let's say you fill the rest of the day with more things to do, everything feels important and urgent. Like, have you ever had that where your calendar is full, you have all these things to do, there's 10 projects that you think, oh, we got to improve this, we got to work on that, we need to hire this new person, and if I asked you what's the number one thing, it's just like, oh, like this, but also that. And it's like everything is important. When you're taking time off, it's like this snow globe where you shake it and all these like little snow bits float around. You kind of like taking time off is just like not moving the thing, and then the snow settles, and then you can see clearly. You're like, actually, if all we did was focus on this and we just knocked it out of the park, the other things don't matter, or they just take care of themselves. And that thing that I was worried about, it's actually not big of a deal. And that other thing, I can actually do that in 10 minutes. I'm gonna do it right now. Just get it out of the way. It's just like the clarity.
Yep. Thank you.
Just like it it just increases massively. And so Rian Doris, buddy of mine that I recently caught up with, he might be coming on the podcast next week, otherwise some other time. He is basically the Andrew Huberman of productivity and flow. And one of the things that he talks about is work compression, is where you force yourself to limit the amount that you work per day. So let's say, for example, you work from 9 to 8 p.m. usually, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. You say, what if I only work from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.? So after 4 p.m., the moment the clock hits 4 p.m., I'm not allowed to do, like, even send an email, even check my calendar. Like, just like, no, I can't. Or if you want to take it even further, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And you're just forced to be so crystal clear and picky about what you work on. And anything you work on, you're like, you only pick the most important, challenging tasks that then you also get into a flow state with, because they're usually the challenging tasks, right? And so, and I think that's when you get so much more done and you work less. And then this is another idea that I recently heard about. Have you heard of Paul Graham?
Yeah, Paul Graham. Who Marcus told you about him?
No, I've heard of him for a while, but he has these really great essays. People always talk about the Paul Graham essays. One of them is the top idea in your mind. And it's basically that, everyone who's worked on different problems is probably familiar with the phenomenon of working hard to figure something out, failing, and then suddenly seeing the answer a bit later while doing something else. For example, when you take a shower, when you're, in a commute, and you're just thinking, you're just chewing, your subconscious mind is chewing on the problem that you've been thinking about. And he says, I think most people have one top idea in their mind at any given time. That's the idea their thoughts will drift towards when they're allowed to drift freely. And this idea will thus tend to get all the benefits of that type of thinking while others are starved of it, which means it's a disaster to let the wrong idea become the top one in your mind, which is why it's so bad to have like 5 different things that you work on.
I agree.
Because you can only go so deep with your idle time. Like, let's say I'm in a court case right now, and then I'm also have some issues with my taxes, and then I have this one business and a second business, and I'm going through a divorce. Like, anytime I'm taking a shower, I'm going for a walk, I'm going to think about one of these things, but only at the surface. Whereas if I'm focused on just one thing that I'm going so deep in, I keep chewing on that problem. Okay, how do I make this podcast better? How do we make the show better? How do we make this, how do we make this better? And there's a level of ideas that is so deep beneath the surface where you have to keep digging that you would never reach. And I think, to go back to the taking time off allows you to have more of these types of thinking where your subconscious makes calculations and computes things that are necessary to solve the biggest problems that you have. And when you're always busy, you tend to only tackle the things that you know how to do rather than the big, scary things that are really challenging problems that will take a while, and that you don't know the answers to. But it's so easy to go, you know what? I know we should hire this key person that's so difficult to find, and I don't know how I'll find them. But I know how to send an email to my newsletter and also post another piece of content and also do this and that. And let me just do that,
Yeah. No, I agree. And there was a study done that said that you can only work extremely hard and focus for 3 hours. And then after you have to take a break. And so when I actually wrote my second book for dating, I literally wrote it in 6 days And the way I broke it down is I would work for 3 hours and then I'd watch a Netflix episode. And I can only watch that Netflix episode once I've done 3 hours of work beforehand. That is how I would reward myself. Or I would go for a walk. So for me, I trained my brain as like, you can only get these rewards or eat if you did this. And if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be able to eat. And I would stop myself
you
from
can
eating.
only breathe air if you
Exactly.
write another sentence. One sentence is one sip of air.
Sure.
And you just
But it worked. It worked really well because it's like you started training, you retrained your brain to be like, all right, I need to be disciplined. This is my deadline. This is what I have to get done. So it's kind of going to what he was saying, what you were saying previously, where it's like by one, but the reality is it's like I can't even do anything unless this was done. So I'd have 3 chunks every day. So I'd write for 9 hours. And then
that's
I'd
insane.
stop.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Were you
But the
taking
breaks made
were
it
you
good.
taking any stimulants there? Were you taking any
No,
anything you
dude.
found in the
I
forest?
couldn't afford stimulus at the time.
Oh.
Dude, that was like when I was building.
You were on the poverty.
Dude, I was living, my apartment rent was $500. I was living in the hood and I was just writing. Literally writing. That was the beginning of my, like, when I was like starting to like make somewhat decent money. I literally had, I think, $1,200 in my bank account.
Great. That was your Rocky montage.
Yeah, so I just had no choice but to make it work. And
Sick.
that was
That's the best place to be in.
Yeah, dude, that's why you could focus.
And again, like work compression is kind of that, right? It's just like, nope, you have to make it in this time.
Yep.
What are you going to do? Oh, well, I'm going to work more and do that. No.
You have to do it now.
Yeah. There's this other essay that kind of ties into this idea, the maker's schedule and the manager's schedule. Basically, the idea is there's 2 different types of schedules or workers, where one is a manager and they have like 1 hour intervals, they have all these meetings and they're just like meeting with people and connecting. And then there's the makers. And if you put like one meeting in their schedule for the day, it ruins their productivity, sometimes for the whole day, because they're on a maker schedule. They just need big chunks of time where they can be uninterrupted and just focused. And yeah, I think this idea kind of ties into that too, right? Where you can be really intentional about the 6 weeks, take the 7th week off, right? And that makes me wonder, like, where else am I structuring my time in a way where I'm just like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. Of course, I need to have a meeting like every once in a while, and like, of course I, need to produce this podcast weekly because it comes out weekly, right? But like, have you heard of Dan Sullivan?
Mm-hmm.
He's like an entrepreneur coach. He talks about 3 different types of days.
Is that guy who wrote Start With Who?
Yeah. Who, not how.
Who, not how.
And then
Yeah.
The Gain and the Gap, and then things like that. Like really interesting books and new ways of thinking about productivity, creating things, and entrepreneurship. And he talks about 3 types of days: focus days, buffer days, free days. Focus days is where you basically have a maker day. You have a maker schedule. Nothing's on your calendar and you just work on writing a book, recording the podcast, or scripting it, or preparing the topics, right? Like the deep work, the high leverage tasks. Then you have buffer days. Those are specific days where you have meetings, you do maintenance, admin, and then there's free days. 0 work on free days. Not even thinking about work, not even having a conversation, not even an email. And this guy, he takes 155 free days per year. And he gets more done than before he did this routine. 150 days, that's almost half the year he takes off. And yeah, like an example would be Monday, you have a buffer day, right? That's when you have your meetings. That's when you meet with clients, whatever your business is, right? Or that's when you meet with your team, whatever career you're in. Tuesday is focus. Then Wednesday is buffer again. Thursday is focus. And then Friday to Sunday, just take the time off. But yeah, it is challenging. And here's the tricky thing. I logically understand, yes, I think this would make things better. I'm currently in a phase where I'm like, no, I need to grind because we're at the beginning of the show. Got to make this thing grow. Like, it does take a level of hustle because it's not like we have tons of money coming in and I can just hire people to just like, oh, high leverage. I kind of need to get into the weeds. I'm in a sprint right now. But it's very difficult for me to implement this.
Why? Is it
if you told me, hey, take a week off, like in the next 6 weeks, I'm like, there's no way. A whole week?
Do you think it would help you out though?
Here's the thing. I'm gonna commit, and I'm challenging you, listeners, to commit. Take a long weekend, 3-day weekend. I'm going to do it this month, end of this month. I'm going to
Why
Boston.
not this weekend?
Man, I have a bunch to catch up on. And I've got momentum right now.
Can't do a 3-day weekend. It's already Friday.
Yeah, what are you
It's
talking
4
about,
o'clock
Iman?
Friday.
This is the dumbest thing I've
John?
ever heard, John. What do you think? This is
Wow. He almost let it go, John, too. John, really? You had nothing to say this whole entire time. And then the one thing, I'm over here praising you, giving you your flowers. Just let him
I
burn.
appreciate
the
glazing.
transactional nature of this man. It's just like he didn't give you praise for praise sake. It was a deposit that he's now he's
I
expecting
couldn't
an
even
ROI.
cash it in. That's the worst
I
part.
appreciate the glazing for the guests. I'll keep doing that.
Dude,
It's very nice.
I love that word, glazing. It's such a Gen Z word. My friend's like, yo, why you glazing? And I'm like, what does that mean?
You need to hang out with older people.
Yeah.
One of the things I thought about too, to the like alternative ways to work. Again, we have certain assumptions. This is how things are supposed to be. But what if we recorded 3 podcasts in 1 week? And then the other week is we just prepare. We go into a brainstorming creative room. Like John and I, we have these really fun meetings where we're just like, wouldn't it be fun to do this? And what about that? And what about that? And the juices are flowing instead of like doing these sprints, right?
I think
Like,
it's
okay, this week we're prepping this month's podcast. Then we're going to book all the guests. Then we record it all in 1 week. Then post-production, editors, we put him on crack. Just 1 week of meth.
why not?
He edits all of them in a week, and then boom, we have a month worth of content, and I can travel, because I only need to be in Austin for 1 week to record them all. So it just gets my juices flowing. Where I'm like, yeah, if this guy can take a sabbatical every 7 weeks.
I think it's very doable. Also, like having multiple podcasts a week, and I've told you this. I mean, I'm not the permanent co-host, but like we can make it work. If I have time, and you let me know in advance, dude, we can bang out 3 podcasts a week interviews.
Yeah,
and I think with our network, we have enough people, and with John, he can like give us all the people we need.
Yeah.
2 things on that. First off, our editor is a very disciplined young man, and I think that if he only did crack 1 week every 7 weeks, he would not get addicted.
Yeah.
So I think that's a safe experiment. Secondly, that's how Tim Ferriss he does his content. Like I think he does it on a shorter scale. Like he'll do Monday and or Friday if he's doing like YouTube videos, or he'll only do like every other Monday or something like that. So on a smaller scale that works, but that's what I've been curious about. Like, can you run a podcast kind of like a TV show? Like you have seasons, like we're in pre-production for 10 episodes and then we're filming them all and doing it that way.
Yeah. Do you know Tim Ferriss?
He's my uncle.
Yeah, I mean, you guys look alike. Just go bald. No, I saw him randomly at the Proper, and I didn't realize he lives in Austin.
Oh yeah, I've seen him multiple times in Austin. I've never approached him. Because
No,
you know why? Because I didn't have anything good to say.
Okay, wow, never mind.
Well, but here's the thing. Tim Ferriss is somebody who actually said this himself. It's better to make no impression than to make a bad impression. And so I'm like, could I make a good impression right now? No, I'm sweaty. I'm walking down the street. I don't have anything good to say to him that he hasn't heard before. And he probably gets approached a lot. So I'm just like, I'm just going to leave him be.
I mean, I saw him on a date with 2 hot girls, and I was like,
Me too.
Good job.
Me too. But that was years ago.
No, I saw him literally
Productivity master.
a couple months ago, and I was gonna be like, yo, good job, and I was gonna walk away. That's literally what I was gonna, but I didn't do it. My friend, one of my friends saw him, and he was like, hey man, I love your work, and I was like, yeah, it's not happening. We just kept on walking.
See?
He already did that.
That's a really efficient way to date. 2 girls at a time.
I was more impressed with the girls he had. I was like, good job.
You know what would have supported him more? If you went up to the girls and you're like, good job. Fist bump the girls. That would have been, but you know what?
What kind of glaze is that, John?
That would have been some good wingmanning.
That's next level glazing. Honestly, that's a great idea. If I ever see somebody famous and they're with a girl, like, you did a good job with this one. Good job.
You should just pretend to accomplish things that you've not accomplished. Like you go up to the girls, you're like, this man, Tim, he's the reason I'm a trillionaire.
Yeah.
He's the reason why I hate Leon. I was going to say something horrible, but it wouldn't have made the cut. So I was going to be like, yep. No.
We're waiting for Sam Ovens to hop on. He's today's guest. He is the founder of Skool, the leading trillion-dollar community platform. It's almost like a new social media platform, but for learning and connecting around your passion. Oh, he's getting into the lobby now. He can sniff it. He can.
You knew we were talking about him.
It is a billion-dollar company now. He used to be the guy that you'd see in Facebook ads wearing a blue suit in his New York apartment
OG.
to join his program to start a consulting business, consulting.com. And he's somebody that I actually learned a ton from. Like, he's one of the few people where I really respect his thinking, and what he's talking about actually oftentimes has led me to a new path. How you doing, Sam?
I'm good.
Awesome. Where are you calling from? You're in
Uh,
the Skool office in LA?
yeah,
Great. I love the mug.
thank you.
How have you been?
Pretty good. You?
Why did you say yes to the podcast? Why did you say, because I remember last time you were on, that was like a year ago, and you were like, yeah, I don't do podcasts. And you also said, I'm probably not going to do podcasts after this. And I reached out to you and you're like, yeah, sure. And I was like, oh, really?
Well, I usually say yes to some, and then I don't for a long time again. And then I say yes again, because after there's been a break, like it's been almost a year, generally there's something to talk about, right?
Great.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting again. But if I do a couple and I notice that I'm like repeating myself a lot, I'm like, just get bored of it.
Great.
That's a great
Perfect. I
answer.
like that.
That's a great answer.
I would have preferred the answer just like, hey, it's because everybody sucks and I just love it, you, Leon. But
That's what he was hoping for, and you did it perfectly, Sam. So thank you.
so this is my co-host Imad. You can just ignore him; it's fine. But
Love this.
yeah, I was just about to say you are somebody who brought me onto a new path when I sold my first business, and then I got into YouTube and stuff like that. And one of the big shifts that I took was, if it's not fun, don't do it. Of course, unless it's absolutely necessary, like taxes. And sometimes there's just some things you got to do, but that seems to be one of the themes that you focus on as well, right? And I was curious about that, like what that looks like in school, in your company. And I also saw you going through this right here, this image right here in the Skool News channel. And you were talking about, yeah, this was in the early days of Skool. And your technical co-founder, Daniel, and a lot of the engineers that you have, they come from the gaming world, right? From Riot Games. And early on, you were working on something tedious, and your co-founder asked, how can we make this fun? So what does that actually look like in school, and how you apply it in your life? Like, what are some real life examples where you've, I guess, gamified things?
Sure. So it doesn't always mean gamifying, by the way, but like
Mhm.
I can give you a perfect example, which is the Skool News channel, which is new, right? Like, because I think I've made it kind of clear to people that I didn't like making videos on YouTube,
Yeah.
like talking head videos, right? And so I knew I was never going to do that again, right? But maybe I shouldn't. Like we saw some signs that we should be doing some more communication with our customers. Like we should be interfacing with them a bit more, like sharing what we're doing and all of that. And a YouTube video was good at doing that, but I didn't like the old format of, talking head. So then I thought, well, is there a way to do YouTube that is fun, that doesn't suck? So I was like, okay, well, what do I consume? And sure enough, it's not talking head at all. Like I don't consume any of that at all. And so it makes a lot of sense why I don't like making it either. And what I do consume a lot of is podcasts, like longer form, interesting conversations. One, they're not edited and they're always more than one person, right? So they're natural kind of conversations that kind of go all over the place. And I thought, okay, well, if we do it, we have to do that format, I think. And I also know that doing it with someone is more fun. Generally, if you do it with a friend, it's always more fun, right? Like going to the gym or whatever. So I decided to do it with Kirby. And that way I'm talking to him instead of talking to an imaginary audience, right? Like there's a person there. Then I don't like cameras. I'm shy, and I just get freaked out by them. So what I do like doing though is working on my computer. I sit in front of my computer every day, and I'm quite comfortable doing that. So I was like, the computer has to be the centerpiece of this channel, which is unique too, because no one just puts a computer in the like exactly where the guest should be or something, right? So we did that, and then I made the computer setup identical to my normal desk setup, so that even the keyboard and mouse is the same. So I just feel very natural. And then the other thing is we talk about Skool, which is what I like to talk about. So I'm doing it with a friend. It's podcast kind of long form style. It's I'm looking at my computer and talking about Skool. It's actually what I do naturally every day. So we're just it I don't even feel like I'm making content, if that makes sense. And so now I would say it's actually fun to make. And the other thing is we've got a guy who does the camera switching live. So the moment it's done, it's edited. Because the other thing that I hate is editing. And so there is no editing process here. And then it's like consistent format. I don't have to come up with new ideas. It's just like every week, Tuesday, same time, never really more than 30 minutes. So I think you get the point. Basically, what I'm, if you just said, oh, we need to make YouTube videos, my initial reaction would be like, oh, like, no, I've done that. I'm not doing that again. But there's a way to do it, actually, that is fun. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You made it simple for yourself. It's
Yeah.
like something you're already doing. Just put a camera, call it a day, and now kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, you have to look at why it isn't fun.
Yeah.
And you have to break it down, because generally you like label it at a higher level. You're like, no video bad. But it's more than that. You have to kind of like dissect it a bit. And it's like, no, I don't like talking to a camera. I don't like this. Yeah.
I've never actually thought about it like that. Why it isn't fun. I've never heard anybody talk about it like from that perspective. That's so interesting, because you're like reverse engineering of like, all right, the things I dislike about it, and if I can get rid of the things I dislike, then I can actually make it a more pleasurable experience. That's interesting.
Yeah, that
Switch.
makes me think of a friend of mine. I was like, man, I need to bring on this new person on my team, but I hate hiring. This is a bad thing to hate, by the way, as an entrepreneur. You hate hiring, you avoid it, you're gonna have a bad time. I'm telling you from experience. And he was like, why do you hate it? And I'm like, it just feels like you never know when you find the person, and there's so much uncertainty, and there seems to be no clear path, because it seems to just randomly happen. Like you get to try a bunch of stuff, and it just feels like you're looking for a needle in a haystack. And my friend said, oh, I love hiring. I'm like, why do you love hiring? Because he was like, because it's like digging for gold. Because you never know when you find it, but when you find them, it's like you found a chunk of gold. And even just the way we thought about it, for me, it was needle in a haystack. For him, it was digging for gold. Of course he liked it, because he was just hunting for that one person that's going to change the business. And I think that alone, like how you think about things, makes a big difference.
Did it make hiring fun?
I
No
delegated it to him. I was like, great, how about you do it then?
You're asking all the right questions. See?
There's only one way to make hiring fun.
What is it?
Have a recruiter that's really good.
Yeah.
And it's still not that fun, honestly.
Yeah. I was waiting for
Wow,
I was waiting for the
fun than
punchline.
I built up this whole thing. It was just like, there is hope. You can still make things up. Just like, it still sucks. But you've done, we talked about it last time on the podcast too. You've done hundreds of interviews to find your technical co-founder, right? Like I think you said, when we were hanging out in Temecula, you said it was one of the most difficult things you've ever done, if not the most difficult thing. It's just like interview after interview, but finding that person was that big thing that changed everything.
100%.
Yeah. One of the things you talked about too is that you spend a lot of time prioritizing, right? Like there's so many customer requests coming in, so many features and things that you could work on. You have this big spreadsheet of these are all the things that we could do, but which one do we do first? So how do you prioritize things? Like how do you go through it right now? I know it's a messy process. There's not like a clean, clear answer where it's like, oh, I do this, but like, what are some of the things that you walk through in your mind to make decisions?
Yeah, so I write down the things, right? Like there's just a bunch of things, you write them down, and then you put a number on them. And then once you think you've got it, again, this is made so much easier if you have someone to talk to about it. So I tend to get the things up on the screen, and then I show someone like Kirby, or I might just get on Zoom with a customer, like a customer I've got a good relationship with. And I'm like, what do you think's most important? And I ask a bunch of other people. It really helps you shortcut it. Like, I swear most people like kill themselves sitting down with problems and not just using other people. It
Feedback.
it really helps, honestly. Um, and then that can often help. And then after I get a few different perspectives, one of my favorite perspectives to get is my wife's. So usually I get like my team's perspective, the customer's perspective, a few different customers, then my wife, and then I kind of let it marinate a bit, and it kind of just pops out generally.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
Yeah.
that's not the go-to thing, right? But it goes back to like who, not how. I don't, maybe you've heard of that concept. Like instead of asking myself how do I solve this problem, is who do I need to talk to, who do I need to hire, or who has already solved that problem that can shortcut it for me. It's not intuitive because we want to go and just like, oh, let me fix it. But
Well, it's also feedback, and I think the biggest thing is getting as much feedback as possible. And we were just talking about that on the last podcast, and we were just talking about the importance, where it's like a lot of successful entrepreneurs use that tool more than not successful entrepreneurs, and a lot of people are too afraid to like ask for that kind of support, but also they're afraid to put their ego out there and have it shut down, when in reality the best entrepreneurs are like, hey, please poke holes in this idea and tell me how I can make it even better.
Yeah. It's I definitely didn't use it a lot earlier on, but when you make something so big like Skool that depends on other people, you really live and die based on like how you listen to the feedback. And it's impossible to get right on their first go. So it makes you very good at that process. And I think I've taken that and applied it to everything I do now. So like, for example, we made a video recently. It hasn't been published yet, but before I would just make a video, wouldn't even really show it to anyone, and then just publish it, right? But now I made the video, and we went around internally with people inside the office until we kind of got it to a point where we were happy. And then we went out and gave it to like, I don't know, 20 customers. And we're like, what do you think? I swear like 60% of them viscerally hated it.
wow, what video was it? What kind of video was it?
Well, it's not out yet. And you won't see the version they hated. So, but I was like, oh, that's funny. Your initial reaction is like, oh, fuck these guys, man. They don't understand. Like, this is art. This is art.
You putting your heart out there.
So was it a video for people who use Skool on like how to grow their community?
Oh,
or was
okay.
it
I'll give you some context. It was just like a 1-minute VSL for the Schoolers community. We just wanted to kind of make a little hype video of what's inside, right? And then, I showed it to my wife, and she's always like a good litmus test, because I kind of liked it. The people at the office kind of liked it, but the 60% of the customers didn't like it. So I was like, okay, it's going to be interesting to show my wife tonight. I show her it, and then she just looks at me and she's like silent. I'm like, fuck.
I was not expecting that at all.
And then I was pissed off, and I was like, let's watch a movie. But then when I woke up in the morning and went back to it in the morning, I was like, oh, they're right. Like, I know something's wrong with this. So then I tried something very different, but same kind of video, but something very different. The vibe was like way off, I think. And the thing I was trying to do, I thought was funny, wasn't obvious to people. So they just thought it was serious, which anyway. Then we redid it, and then we went back, and then people loved it. Like 95% of the people that hated it loved it. And then my wife liked it again, and I was like, okay, perfect. Like, so just getting that feedback before you go public with something. What really sucks is when you go public with something for real and 60% of people hate it.
Real question: which one did you like more, the first one or the second one? Honestly.
Honestly, the second one.
Okay, fair enough.
It's
'Cause,
really
I can be a bit too like artistic sometimes, right? And this isn't just my like art. There's other people that care about this too, right? So yeah, you can't be too artistic sometimes with things. And that's why I don't like making videos, because there's like no constraints, honestly. I really love software because of the extreme constraints on it. But like a video can go in a million different directions, and I basically want to make like Lord of the Rings every time, which is impossible. And so I just like it drives me crazy, honestly.
one of the tools that you talked about for decision making that you use, I guess, in some situations where it makes sense, is the yes no pick a wheel, which
Yeah.
I think is actually it seems like a joke, but I think it actually makes sense. So can you tell us about that?
Sure. So, there's like a lot of the time, if you can't decide which, like, some things are quite trivial, but you still need to make a decision, right? Which thing should I do first? This thing or that thing? If you're like, if you can't really figure it out, then wheel, spin it, and then just do that one first. Because otherwise you might have sat there and wasted all of this energy, like trying to think about it, right? Or like Claire came to me, who's like our office manager the other day. She was like, should I buy another one of these signs? It's like this illuminated school sign thing. And I asked her what for, da da da. And I was like, what do you think? And she was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, maybe we don't need it. Like trying to err on the side of minimalism. And then she was like, oh no. And I could tell she kind of wanted it. And then I asked someone else, I asked Kirby, I was like, what do you think? He was like, and I was like, fuck this, get the wheel out. Spun it, it said yes, and I was like, buy it.
Love it.
Great. I think
And it
you
was
actually
like a $4,000 sign. So,
Okay.
it's like a $4,000 decision, but there like 3 or 4 people are going to be involved in this thing. It's just move on. Sometimes you need something to just like, I'll give you another example. Like, trying to decide on what you should get from like Uber Eats with your girlfriend or wife or whatever. You guys done this?
Yeah, so the process.
So your wife's like, oh, let's get some takeaway or Uber Eats, whatever. And I'm like, okay, what do you want? I don't know. Then she's like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. Then I'm like, should we get this? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, fuck. Like, but when you think about it, really, and this can go on for quite some time, right? But really, when you think about it, you probably only go to like 4 places, right? There's probably only 4 places that are good, that you like. So why don't you just spin a wheel?
All 4 places. Dude,
Yeah.
there was a meme, there was a video where the guy found the perfect answer for that. You guys should try it out. It's actually great. You go to your wife or partner or whatever and you say, I have a surprise for you today. Guess where I'm taking you? And then she'll start naming things and then be like, oh my God, how'd you know? Well, guess what we're going to do after? And she'll just keep naming these things. And you're like, you're just so good. You just know me so well. Now I can't even surprise you. And then you take her exactly where she told you she wanted to go. Because that's where her first like feeling of like, oh, I really want to get tacos today. I really want to get Japanese. And you're like, thank God, not have to worry about this stuff.
I feel like you need to get a decisive girlfriend or wife for that first. Like mine would be like, I don't know. But I think the hack that I found is just absolute delusional certainty. When she asks, what should we get? It's like, definitely this. This is the best. And you just hype it up. You don't even know what you're talking about, but it rubs off and they're like, because they're really just looking for certainty.
But what if that's not what you want?
See, I always put that second.
Yeah,
And then
come-
I have regret later, but I
You're
save
trying to
time.
find the answer.
Come on, Sam,
Like-
relax. Right? Like, it's not about us right now, all right? We're trying to figure out what we want to eat, all right? And we'll be here all day.
I think this is one of the things you talked about that was really interesting is, and it may be a good heuristics for making these decisions too. You said that oftentimes people that have communities, oftentimes younger people, they come to you and they go, you know, I think I should do this community because it's this big opportunity and I know I could do it really well and it's not untapped. But I also, you know, there's this other thing that like, I think I would really like this. And you just ask them, well, which one do you want to do? And then they defend but I should do this, I should do that. And then the moment they surrender to being like, I actually just want to do this other thing. There's no should, it's just like, you know, which one would you like more? And then there's like this relief. And I've had that in my career as well when I went into content creation and being creative and having fun with the content. I think it's a good heuristic to just go, which one would be more fun? Like screw the like ROI, the opportunity, the money, but like what's more energizing, what's more fun?
As well. Sam, I have a quick question. How did your growth and way of thinking shift from going from having like a massive consulting business to now going into tech? Because those are two different worlds.
Well, I mean, almost everything is as different as it could be. So like it's, you know, going from making content as an individual creator to making a platform it's there's almost nothing that translates,
Different
but
world.
something very important does, which is an understanding of the user, right? So like that is the advantage because you're kind of building it for yourself. But the disadvantage, which is ginormous, is that you haven't built a platform before. Yeah, which is why most platforms aren't built. Well, almost no platforms are built by people that make content, right? Because it's not content at all. Yeah.
I love that, and that's why it took you so long to find that right person, because it's like, how can I take my brain and have them or present the idea to them and have them create the vision? Obviously, you need somebody kind of out of this space and coming from a different kind of way of thinking to help you build it.
Yeah. It's kind of the beautiful thing about solving a really hard problem is that you're forced to do things. So like there is no way I'm going to build it myself. It's impossible, right? Because we're trying to build something that's quite difficult to make. It's essentially like a social network, right? Which is there's not a whole bunch of those. There's not a whole bunch of people that can make them. Like it's impossible for me to get to that level of skill and proficiency to make it, right? Because the people that like my co-founder had been coding like 15 hours a day for 20 years. And he's like a genius too. So like it's not just the input, right? So that just forced me. I was like, there's no way to succeed at this unless I find this person. So it's just very simple. I was like, you get this person or you don't do it.
It's funny because I think most people would have they would have started to look for that person, and then after months of looking for them and not finding anyone, they would have gone, what is something else that I can do to at least feel like I'm making progress? Like I heard this quote recently: "We're kept from our goals not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal." And it's so easy to just go, I don't really know how or when I'm going to get there. There must be something else I can do that at least makes me feel like I can check off a box. Like, what kept you going to just go, you know what? Even if it takes me a year, even if it takes me years, I'm going to keep looking for that person.
Well, I was like, am I going to do it or not? And the only way I'm going to do it is if I find this person. And I still think I want to do it. So I need to find this person. And I was like, if I don't, I basically quit. So that kept me going. And it just really did feel like this was what I was supposed to do, like a very deep feeling like that. So that definitely kept me going. Yeah,
Did you give yourself a time limit?
no.
however long it took, basically.
Yeah.
So then for like the listeners listening to this, how long is long enough? Like if it took you 10 years, you know,
To
Would-
find a person,
would you have still committed to this goal because deep down you knew it was going to work for 10 years?
10 years. You know, I don't think so, because there's so much stuff changes in 10 years that the opportunity might have like moved, right?
That's valid.
But yeah, I think that that's where time dimensions with goals, like they can be useful. I set goals for myself, right? And they're always quite ambitious. But I almost never hit them in the time frame. But that doesn't mean I like failed. It was just something to aim for. Because sometimes the most important thing is actually getting there, not like lowering your standards and getting there sooner, right? So like, yeah, I could have just found a co-founder, but if they weren't good and then we would have made something that sucked and then we would fail anyway. So we're like, what's the point?
When
Hmm.
you talk to him, did you have a gut feeling instantly where you're like, oh, this is the guy? Or was it like, oh, they added to the list of potential, and then over time it was like, yep, I think he's checking the boxes? Or was it like just a gut feeling?
Um, I would say intuition and feeling wise, it was like, yes. But logic wise, it wouldn't. I think that's what I was doing wrong before that. I was approaching everything like with too much logic, trying to find the person. Um, and that had led me down the wrong path, but it turned out to be the right signal here. Yeah.
I love that.
So it felt right, but my mind was like it shouldn't be that easy or something.
Yeah, interesting. We were talking about this earlier before you hopped on, Sam. Like, we have certain expectations in our minds of what something should look like, and even when it's right in front of our faces, we're like, "Oh no, it shouldn't be this easy. I need to put in more hours, do more of this." Right? That's interesting. I think even Jeff Bezos, he talked about that, where he makes some of the biggest decisions just based off of intuition and gut feeling. And it's like, yeah, like it makes sense that we should do this, but I just have a feeling we should do that. And it's like, why do you think that is? That those decisions oftentimes end up being the right ones.
That's a pretty deep question. So well, I think you can't really use data to get yourself there when you're innovating, right? Like it's not all facts. You have to take leaps of faith. You have to have a vision, which can sometimes seem like delusional. And you have to have something deep inside of you, which is, it almost feels like that's what you're supposed to do, or it makes sense to you, but you don't even really know why. Um, and I think there's something very deep there about like, and I've noticed the people that make the best music, art, movies, businesses, all of them, they all use this thing, right? It's probably the most important thing, actually. Um, yeah, and I think you can tune it too. But I think all of the best founders and artists and innovators have had this thing. Yeah, and I think everyone's got it. Actually, you just can if you ignore it and you don't like develop it, you can kind of lose it.
Yeah, I think the way to get in touch with it is to remove inputs and also just kind of get out of your own way. Like removing the logic and just being like, what do I feel? Like one of the things that I heard uh, when it comes to tapping into your intuition is that when I ask myself, should I do this? And my brain comes up with a bunch of reasons. Yeah, it's because of this, because of that. It's oftentimes a decision made from the brain, from a certain brain region that we actively think with. Whereas the intuition part, when I'm asking myself, should I do this? It's pretty quiet, but there's a feeling. It's just like that, just like tells me yes, and there's no. And my theory around intuition is that it's a different different type of intelligence that we tap into that is subconscious, where our subconscious brain is calculating all these things, that all these random inputs that we're not even aware of, and it just computes it and then brings it up as a feeling. It's just like, don't trust this person.
Yeah.
You know, or go this route, or try this new thing. And we are so active with our active minds that we're just like, no, but what about this? I should do that. But like the inner knowing, I think it just takes like quieting down to encourage to listen to it.
Yeah, the Alchemist actually talks. I don't know if you guys have read The Alchemist. The Alchemist talks about that, where he says, and it's kind of going back to what you said, Sam, where the heart tries to speak to you, and the longer you go without listening to the heart, the quieter it gets, and then it gets to a point where it just stops speaking to you, and you're just like, all right, cool, I'm done. I've done my part. And that feeling you're talking about is like, the way I look at it is when I'm taking making like decisions off intuition. When I think of something, if I feel like pain or I feel like tenseness in my body, my body's telling me, this might not be the right thing. And I just look for that, especially when I'm going to make a decision. I'm like, how does my body feel right now? Am I like happy about this? Am I excited? Or do I feel like some doubt, some uncertainty? And I think that really could be a good navigator as well, that I've seen works for me really well.
What are some big decisions that you're currently chewing on? Are there any when it comes to school? Like any like, go this way, go that way. Should we focus on this or that?
Or food.
Um, Well, there has been some, but we haven't like shipped them yet, so I don't know if I should say them. But there's definitely been some big things which I've been contemplating for like 8-9 months, honestly.
Okay.
And have been working towards for like 8-9 months, that will be coming out in the next like 2 or 3 weeks. So
Great.
Let's take it. A Driven exclusive. We have the insider information. We don't know what it is, but it's something. All right. Something big. That's what we're going to pitch it as. Something big's coming.
So I know you had some opinions about AI last time we talked. You're not an AI expert. You're not somebody who is up to date with the latest things, I'm assuming. What are your thoughts now, if you have any?
So I still think the general hype of it and everything is like way overdone. But I'm not like anti AI, but we actually use it a lot for things in our company, Skool. The main thing we use it for is like platform moderation. So detecting like, spammers, scammers, fraud, like bots, right? All kinds of things that are bad actors essentially, and learning their patterns and taking action against them. And so we use it a lot. And another thing is on Skool, if you go to like skool.com, you know how there's categories, communities are in categories. We've got like 10 categories. So we use it to categorize communities. So it like reads the description and everything of the community, and it puts them in a category. So we use it, but it's like, I'm more of the person which is like, there's some people that are like, AI is going to change everything, and if you're not using it for everything, you're a fucking idiot. And to me, that's just so stupid. I'm more like, what can we use it for, like, actually? And it's like, okay, that could have, the categorization might have been 2 or 3 people's jobs. The moderation, oh my God, we're able to moderate a platform with 15 million users with one person because there's the AI. And fraud, again, our platform processes a huge amount of money, and we have one fraud person. So yeah, it's more like specific. But me personally, like, what in my day, I don't really use it a whole lot. Although my wife told me, oh, you should read this book on parenting, and I asked ChatGPT, I was like, give me a summary. So I do actually, the thing I use it the most for is making funny photos of like my friends and team members. I'm like,
That's the
put this
snippet.
put this face on this like goose or something, right? Like, and it can actually write pretty funny shit if you like say write a rap lyric, write like a rap song about this. Um, it so it I use it for some things, but it's not like I'm not going to be one of those people that's, and I'm sure you guys know the kinds of people I'm talking about, right? That are
100%.
making everyone panic on the internet.
Yeah, the AI doomers. Yeah, I think it's like this sexy topic that, of course, a lot of people get clicks on it, and it's again just attention hijacking. And the people who are making content, they're incentivized to have a hot take because that's what goes viral, either massively against it or massively for it. And the people who are in AI startups, of course, they say this is going to be the big thing, right? Like everyone is incentivized to talk about that. It's the same thing with like crypto or NFTs. If any of you remember what that was all about, like we don't hear anything about NFTs now, but
There's still hope.
it used to be like this. Oh, this is going to change everything. You're going to own everything. There's going to be. It's just the people who own NFTs. Of course, they wanted everyone to think this is going to be the next thing because that's how they make more money. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think AI is far from taking over everything. And we've had AI for so long. If you think about it, it was just really shitty. Like there was a lot of websites that had a chatbot that you would type in a word and they would be able to help you with, closing your account. That's technically also AI. It was just really shitty.
Dude, my friend called me yesterday. I went to an event, a marketing event, and my friend literally calls me. She had one conversation with somebody, and she's like, drop it all. All right, that's it. 6 months, AI is going to take all sales jobs. It's going to take everything. They're not going to need salespeople anymore. The company you're doing right now, switch it. Forget about getting people, get AI. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm just trying to go to bed. I'm like, I didn't want to think about this. Just leave me alone. Like, I don't care. I really, just let me be happy with what I have going on. I had an idea. Just let me smile and just leave me alone. But it's the same thing you guys are talking about. It's like everybody just get like one conversation and they're just like, that's it. I have all the information.
I think everyone has one moment like that. Did you have one moment like that where you're like, oh shit, I think this is gonna. Did you have it? Maybe was it late at night when you were tired and your brain wasn't functioning right? Is it anything, Sam?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, he is talking
Yeah,
to you.
is there any time where you had that?
What, with AI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking it's going to just replace everything?
Yeah, like one bad night.
Yeah, just make us feel better. Because it can't be only us right now.
No, never.
Wow. Should have just lied to us, Sam.
Different breed.
No, because I mean, like, you just have to try it. It's impressive, but it's far from taking over everything. And I don't even know if it can, right? Like, it's the most impressive version of it, I'd say, is like Tesla Autopilot. That thing's actually pretty good, and I use it. That's pretty impressive, that one. But as far as taking over everything, like, I don't think so. Like, we still use humans for customer support, and as far as like coding goes, I know like AI is a long way away from taking over that, because the best software engineers don't even use it for coding. It's more of the like junior vibe coders that use it. And so if you talk to people that are deep in the industry, they have a different take on it. The people that are super hyped about it aren't technical. They're hypers.
It's a good way.
You know what I mean?
The
Like,
marketers.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's actually very good.
Yeah.
like, we actually use it like low level like embeddings and low level like AI from OpenAI, like the lower level stuff, not just Chat GPT, but their embeddings API and things. So like we use it properly, and we kind of know what it can do, and it's impressive and it's useful, but we approach it like rationally, right? Instead of just thinking it's going to take over everything.
Of course. And the photos. You can't forget about the photos. That's the important part as well.
I love the photo thing. Like, it got a lot better recently because I asked it to do one like a year ago or something, and it sucked. But, usually I'd have to Photoshop someone's face onto something funny. Now I can just quickly do it. Yeah.
It's so funny. The older generations, like I'm thinking about, our parents. There's literally videos on YouTube of like clearly AI generated videos of Trump saying something wild, or Elon Musk has a channel where he's like, "Oh, like and subscribe," and the comments are full of people. Wow, thank you for this great content, Elon. They don't even know it's AI, and it clearly has like 6 fingers on each hand. And the people like that is like, oh, that's concerning. But it's also it's also funny.
What? So you guys are freaking out that AI is going to take over like everything? Is that
No.
what you guys?
I mean, no, we're not freaking out. We're just hoping
Oh,
you're gonna support us in this journey and not have us be the only ones.
I'm bad at doing that. Like, I generally just say what I think instead.
Listen, we love your honesty. Listen, it hurt us, but we love it. All right, we appreciate the honesty.
So there are some guests that we have on where we're like, hey, we have a crazy idea for them. Sometimes it's $1 trillion business idea, and we just share it with them. All we ask is 1% in equity if they take the idea. That's only 10 billion if you make $1 trillion. For you, we actually have something prepared that is, I think, going to be a big brand level up, because we're always noticing patterns on this podcast. We're always noticing what's the next level up. And for you, Sam, there's something that we noticed with a lot of billionaires. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. So, billionaire rebrands. If you look at, for example, Mark Zuckerberg, right? He used to look like this on the left. Spying on you, no eyebrows. He had the lizard look. He pivoted to Gen Z broccoli hair, wearing glasses. Now he looks like a human being that's about to rap at any point.
100%.
Right? He's done everything he could to rebrand himself.
Which version do you guys prefer? I'm really curious.
Listen, I like the jiu-jitsu version.
Really?
It's funny.
I like full lizard Zuckerberg. Like, that was more authentic, I swear.
Yes, 100%. And here's the thing: I don't think anyone is buying the one on the right. But I'm not gonna take your feedback here. I'm not gonna destroy the idea that I came up with.
Okay,
so
keep
the
going.
right is way better. Next example. Do you know this guy, Brian Johnson? This is what he used to. He used to look like this. He was normal. He was mortal. Had a job, it looks like, or some company. He looked like a normal fella. Today, brand pivot clearly to, again, Gen Z. He's wearing a necklace. He's wearing these cool shirts. He's got cool style. He looks, zaddy. Younger than your unborn child. He meets the Kardashians. He talks about his erections. Your rebrand is completely different. And I think that's where the gap is. Back in the day, Sam Ovens, you see his ads behind your eyelids. He's a dapper young hustler living in New York. Looks like he's auditioning for Wolf of Wall Street. And now you rebrand it completely to father, inner peace, serenity, chill.
Jesus.
You are zagging while every other billionaire person zags. So what would it look like if you rebranded again? And you get the broccoli haircut, chains. You adopt the slang. I think that's what's next. NFT art museum. Maybe own an esports team. And you got to pick a category. Longevity. What is it? Jiu-jitsu. Is it the AI revolution?
And hey, Sam, we're just here to support you. All right.
What do you think?
I honestly don't know. Like, I don't even think about it as rebranding. I just kind of let it unfold and didn't care, because, and the one thing that enabled that to happen was that I wasn't making content or like trying to build a personal brand. So yeah.
It feels like this is all logic speaking right now, but your intuition is really telling you this is the new you. This is the real you. So
Potentially.
So we've already contacted your team, your executive assistant. You have a haircut booked. You're gonna get this hairstyle. The wardrobe is ready, so we're looking forward to seeing the rebrand. Because I think
you're gonna get new ice.
I don't even have an assistant, by the way. So
who did we talk to?
Kirby. That's what it was. Talk to Kirby.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, whatever comes from that rebrand, we'll take a cut
Yeah, 1%. 1%.
Yeah.
We're not asking for a lot.
Yeah. But I think, jokes aside, I think a lot of people do this where they think about what does the market need? Who should I be? What would be a good brand? And they think about, oh, these words, I combine these. When in reality, the best thing you can do is just be like, who am I? And then literally just be that. Because I think, yeah, like the Mark Zuckerberg thing, you're right. Like the previous one is fully authentic. Him just going full lizard, that's him. And he's kind of maxed out the charisma training and the whatever coaches he hired and stylists, but like nobody's really buying it. So like why does he do it? Like what went on in the boardroom or in the company where they were like, yes, this is the right move. Let's
I mean, do you think it made it, like, do you think him making that transformation made Facebook better?
No, it didn't make him more trustworthy. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Sam?
Well, I think what's interesting is that it got worse during that transformation.
Okay, why?
Same thing happened with Bezos too, right?
Yes.
Like,
That's the pattern.
yeah. So when you're focused and not thinking about it, you know, his main creation before was that. But I've heard that, and this is from people, because we've got people on our team that used to work at Facebook, right? And they said Zuck is in his fuck it phase.
Ah.
Okay.
Same thing with Elon Musk, it seems like.
They're all in their fuck it phase.
No, but I think it makes sense, because I saw an interview with Zuckerberg a while ago too, and the guy who introduced him said like, "Oh, you've built the largest thing on the internet ever. You've achieved this, and you've like basically you've done everything," and hyped them all up. And then after the intro, he was like, "Yeah, where to from here?" As if to say there's only one way to go from here, which is down.
Yeah, I guess so.
So like, you may as well just like fuck it. Like, what where can you go from there? And it's just you're just waiting until you're not there anymore, right?
So Sam, is that the next step for you, the fuck it phase? Or are you there? What's happening?
I'm definitely, I mean, Facebook's got like what, 2 or 3 billion users or something, and
Not-
Zuckerberg's like, yeah. So I mean, I'm far from there. I'm in like building phase.
Got
Yeah.
it. So we'll have another interview when you're at the fuck it phase, and it'll be a whole different rebrand.
Yeah, I don't even know if this is a phase that everyone goes through, but I mean, that's just what I've noticed from seeing some of these things. And it's not like I've looked into them at all. It's just it's interesting, because I did follow Bezos's journey and I've read his books and followed Amazon, and then to see him just go wild is kind of interesting.
It seems like a pattern. It seems like a stage of evolution, right? It's just like, but I think it's also important to look at what phase am I in right now and what's the right advice to filter from, right? So because I could talk to certain people that are like, "Oh, you just need to grind and hustle." And I'm like, I already developed the discipline. Now it's more about actually just going with the flow and following my intuition, right? Like how do you currently, I guess, take input and decide what apply to yourself? Like how do you keep the input pure?
In terms of developing myself or like doing what I do.
I guess both.
Yeah.
I guess they go hand in hand,
I
right?
guess it's very different for me, because I am not really a part of Skool at all. I'm not the face of Skool or anything, right? So I honestly never really even think about myself ever, and I find that very helpful. And so what I'm focusing on is the product and the users and my team. So I'm like, we want to have the best team. They should be happy, and our users should love the platform. They should be happy. I need to listen to my team. Need to listen to my users, and our product should be the best. And then I'm like, how can I move those things forward? And I can talk to my team, I can talk to my users, I can use the other products, right? I can use my own one, and I'm just trying to make those things better.
You know what I've noticed about like the conversation right now we're having is like you're very hyper focused. And it's like you have like one goal and you're just not tailoring across. You're like, this is the goal. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to get it done. So you try not to get distracted by all the different things. You're just kind of like The big vision. So what's the big mission? What's the vision for you? Like if you could say in like one sentence for Skool, for yourself, like what's the big vision?
To help 1 billion people find community.
Beautiful. I love that.
How long did it take you to get there to that clarity of vision? Was that a iterative process that just developed itself over time?
Yeah, it definitely takes time. It's like not like it just pops out. And I don't even think it got that clear until we were at least 3 years in, maybe more, right? So in the beginning, it's just, I like this market. I like online entrepreneurs who are independent and who make money doing what they love, right? Hanging out with other weirdos like them. Like, I love that space. So I wanted to do something in that space. I also love software, and I wanted to build a platform, which is like the ultimate form of software. If you're trying to build the gnarliest piece of software as a platform. And so I was like, I want to build a platform for this market, right? And I want to work with like the best software engineers, and I want to have like the best product. And then I think if we do this right, it could get to the scale of 1 billion users. And there's only a handful of products that have ever done that, like Google, Gmail, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, the big ones, Maps. There's only a handful or something of them. And so it's like, if you're going to build something on the internet, that's the peak of the peak, right? And I quite like making things on the internet, and I wanted to do something challenging. So I was like, okay, let's have a go. And so that was kind of it at the start. But then, we're building a community platform, and it's like, it doesn't sound as good if you say like to build a thing that 1 billion people use, right?
Yeah.
So we made it more about like finding community. And so it takes time to develop. Like, it takes years, actually. And I think this is one thing that content isn't good at training you, because with content, you have to produce so much and say so much. And you always need to keep just churning out more stuff, right? Whereas for me to find a nice little sentence took like 4 years or something, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't even make for the best content. If I put that out on Twitter, it probably just flop. So, yeah.
No, but it's because I think because I used to work with Closers.io a while back, and we were one of the early adopters of Skool, and it made life so much easier. Like genuinely, like, and I'm not just saying this because you're here. It's the reality is it's just so simple that anybody could use it. And when you have like old people coming in using this platform, I'd have to sit there and explain like the other competitors where I'm like, you gotta do this, go to this. It's literally up top. You look at the calendar, you look at this, and you can find everything you wanted.
What's going on here? I meant to ask with IMAD, how do you say your name?
Imad. Yeah, I mean, close enough. That works. It sounds close.
You guys are doing like a multi-person podcast now?
Well,
Yeah.
Leon's a serious one. I'm the funny one. So he needed the personality, and that's why he brought me on board.
And Jamie's not on the podcast?
He's the producer.
Support.
Got it. Okay.
He's our technical support, and he pulls up stuff.
Leon says that if I talk while the guest is on, it's going to embarrass him, and I'm not allowed to do that.
Jamie,
so.
stop.
This is
Jamie.
perfect. Good job now, Jamie. That's what I wanted to hear.
Sam's very important, and I don't want to embarrass Leon in front of him. So sorry.
No, you know how Joe Rogan has Jamie?
I got it.
We
yeah.
just copy pasted the whole, just like, I'm shaving my head tonight too. Any pattern I see, I just do it, and then I just become ultra successful. That's how it always works.
That's what we have for Skool News too, basically, is someone who's got the live camera switching thing.
Yeah, exactly. Are you switching the cameras, Jamie?
Yeah,
Make sure you do that.
Yeah, I'm logged into Riverside, which is doing it automatically, and I'm diligently monitoring it.
I've really changed. It seems like you're like full hippie now.
Me?
This is not very rigid at all. Yeah.
I'm so happy you said it, Sam.
So I'll give you the background. I'll give you the background because Sam, we were at a mastermind. It was a very small group. We were like 15 people in like a few hours outside of Los Angeles, and Sam was there, Chris Williamson, Charlie from Charisma on Command, and I talked to Sam about what should I do next. I was just pivoting out of my YouTube channel. That was a pain, and one of the things you said to me was just like, you just need to loosen up, just so rigid, right? And so, yes, that has been it has been a big journey for me. There's a lot of things that I know. Here's the thing. I did start an interview channel where it was just a guest. I started a new channel, didn't tell anyone about it. The 4th episode got like 5 million views. I got 100,000 subscribers from that one episode because I know how to package things. I know how to make it successful. And I was like, fuck, I don't want that. And then I started a new channel again, and I left that channel behind as well. But it's like one of the worst things is becoming successful with something you know you don't want to do, right? And so, talking about becoming less rigid, what makes you laugh, Sam? Like, what's the kind of humor that when somebody sends you a meme or a video or shows you something that makes you laugh?
Well, a lot of the time it's like insider things, I guess. Like, we've got different people on our team. So if you troll them in a particular way and you know them, it's funny, like that kind of stuff. I like that's always really funny to me.
Okay.
But I found that show Silicon Valley like really funny.
So good.
What is it?
Silicon Valley. It's a great show.
Well, tell me about it. What is it?
That's the kind of humor I like. It's very, how would you describe that? Kind of like dry and
It's dry, but it's like four nerds that basically have a great idea that they do it better than everybody else, and then they build a company off it, and they're just like messing up in the worst possible ways, and they're just getting
it's trolling them
Yeah.
hard.
the
And
whole
I
process.
like that. Like I love that kind of thing where it's trolling a particular stereotype or something.
It's like
Okay.
the roommate that let them live with him, and then he wants 10% of the company because he's housing them, but he's practically useless. He's just the confident. He just talks. That's it. He's just like the voice, but
Yeah,
has
it's like
no.
you.
All right, you know what? Well, we didn't have to do all that.
Anyways,
You just gotta watch it. It's either your thing or not, but I found that very funny.
yeah.
It's a good show.
Okay, we're not really prepared then, because here's the thing. We prepared a little bit. Something for you, Sam. You are, I think, worldwide, globally regarded as the most focused, most disciplined man in America. You invented monk-like discipline. And we have a side quest for this episode, is to make you break focus, to make you laugh. And we're going to do a try not to laugh challenge. You're not allowed to laugh. You're not even allowed to smirk. You smirk, you lose. You're not allowed to have any joy. And if we win, you share with us what feature you're shipping next that you can't reveal yet. You taking us on this bet? Are you taking this
He's
bet,
already getting
Sam?
serious.
After the billionaire rebrands, I'd feel pretty confident if I was him, not gonna lie.
Are you taking this bet?
Crushing
Are you
it.
taking this challenge, Sam? Are you accepting it?
I'm just thinking of the timelines, like when this is going to release.
Ah, he's
Just
already
assess
playing not
my
to lose.
downside.
Okay,
Assess my downside right now.
I love how logical he is. He's so logical. We need some music. Dun 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 dun.
share with us something.
Anything. Yeah, it doesn't have to be something.
It can be equity in school.
I
If
mean,
you prefer that, I'll take that.
No. It's got to be something. There's got to be stakes. here.
Listen,
There's gotta
from
be
somebody that's
stakes.
using the product, that's a very big piece of information.
Hey, we're about to get some equity in school here.
You're right, my bad.
Okay. So we prepared some videos. Try not to laugh. Try not to smirk. Try to not have any joy. And the winner gets a new feature. This is a big thing. The new gurus that replaced you, since you're not doing consulting.com anymore, they're on a different level. This is Royce DuPont. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but insane sales coach. Let's have a look.
How many cars did you sell this month?
35.
Whoa, 35, not bad. How many are you gonna sell next month?
Hoping for 40.
How about this? How about you sell 50 cars or I kill your entire family? Would you sell 50?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? You find a way. Your family's on the line. How about 60? 60 cars or I murder your family with my bare hands.
Yeah, of course.
70.
Yeah.
200 cars in a month or I slaughter your entire family.
That's a lot of cars.
They'd be dead, Jake.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Okay, 1,000. Okay, 10,000. 10,000 cars, or I execute your triplets. Right there. That's my basement. They can't hear you. You have 1 month. Clock's ticking, cowboy. See, guys, success is a mindset. Guy went from selling 35 cars in a month to 10,000. It's all a year, right?
Jamie, did we record any? Was there any noise from Sam? Was there any laughter?
I didn't hear any laughter.
Okay, I didn't find it funny at all. Imad, you didn't laugh. You didn't. We just cut away from Imad. Doesn't count. So okay, we're still even. Okay, let's see what do we have next. What? Let's do.
Is it like a trolling account or something?
Oh, we're gonna have him on next episode. Royce Dupont, that guy. He's yes, it's a trolling account. Let's see. What else do we have?
I love how serious he is.
Yes. Oh, are you aware of RFK?
I'll tell
Do you
you
know?
something that was fucking funny.
Okay.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh. Okay, now
I'll
you
tell you
laughed.
Hold on,
something
let's-
that I watched like 20 times.
Okay, what is it?
It's this like video of Dan Pena
Oh.
doing a doing like some kind
That's what we should have done.
he's doing some kind of like live event like in person, and what's funny about it is that it's not sarcastic, it's fully serious.
Do you want to hear some funny things? So we have a segment in the podcast called Guru of the Week. We had him on twice, not on the podcast, but we featured him and we've talked to his team to get him on. So we're in the works of that, of getting him on.
I wanted to make a video, like a clip of this guy, and label it like the baddest dude in info, because this dude is the baddest. Like, he brought a gun to this conference and he like stuck it in his mouth and he was like shouting at everyone, and like he said that his testosterone was 1,500.
I wish
I
And he was-
emailed him.
He was being, and then but people had paid like 25 grand for this fucking experience.
Yeah,
So I was
I-
like, who's paying 25 grand to get insulted
What-
like this?
one of my friends did it. $20,000 to go and get
Did it
yelled
help
at.
him?
And first of all, like how like 1,500 testosterone?
That sounds unsafe.
yeah.
That is extremely unsafe. Yeah.
Who
But
would have
it's
thought?
Do you want to play one of the clips, John? Jamie? I mean?
Absolutely.
Never met anybody like me, and you probably never will, because you're a cunt with the vagina cream. I give you this vagina cream so you can rub it on your snatch, because you're all cunts.
He's,
All right, I think we got him.
You know the cunt. Don't you understand that? You know
look at
anybody
that
with any
dude in the
balls?
audience. Everyone's just staring at him like, am I learning something?
Sam, that could have been you. That could
I
have been
mean-
your brand.
I emailed him to get him on the show, and his assistant sent me 59 questions to answer about our show. And the very last one was, are you aware that Dan Pena uses language that's not family friendly? And I replied, we were hoping he'd call Leon a cunt on the show. We'd use it in the trailer. Stopped responding. So I don't think that's going anywhere.
Oh, God.
I'll follow up in a week.
We'll
So
get it.
this guy is the funniest dude in info because he is deadly serious.
Look at the background too. He has pictures of him skydiving.
He's the Godfather.
The Godfather.
Oh.
The one on top. The one on top.
Go to the right on the screen. He's skydiving. It's kind of adorable. I don't know.
It's great.
No, what the funny thing to me is that there's people there in suits. Like,
Well, you have to. You have to wear a suit. You can't walk in there without, like, that's a rule. A rule is you have to go in with a suit.
Who had the stilts?
Oh,
What?
that was after the first day. There's always one person that needs.
Is he
stilts on the
breaking
second
someone's
day.
legs?
It's
but
true.
it's just what fascinates me is that like some people like this. Like some people like being abused, which is like pretty messed up.
Yes, it is. I think my theory is that it's guys who didn't grow up with a strong father figure, so they don't know what it looks like, and they just need it someone to have a backbone, and now they go to this extreme version. And it's like, if you look at the speeches, he literally speaks to universities. I don't know what universities hire him, but he's literally just like
Some loose checking to bring Dan Pena into your university.
and he literally just berates them. But I think it's oftentimes people who are, they think that's what it takes, right? It's like, I need to just be more disciplined and be more hardcore.
Yeah.
And
Missing that
He's
father figure.
hardcore, man. Good God.
when you see an old, there's actually old clips of him in the I want to say 80s, where he has a seminar and he talks normally. So my theory is he's just done enough iterations to know what really changes people's lives.
Fuck it.
No, I think his testosterone really is at 1500, and he's
Sam, this is what we
lost
talked
the
about.
plot.
This is the fuck it. He's at his fuck it. I feel like he thinks he's done what he could, and he's like, fuck it.
No, I think that's the testosterone, man. Like, I swear, probably Bezos and Zuck did it too, and it just like makes you different.
Oh.
Everyone's doing that. Don't you even get Facebook ads these days, like about testosterone?
Yeah.
Like it's like everywhere these days. Like it's like taking vitamin C or something.
Jesus.
Vitamin T.
Yeah, just inject me. That's literally what it is.
Yeah, I think there's also a massive cultural shifts for guys in their early 20s to take steroids. Like, it's become so normalized where body image, insecurities, and mental health issues, the men's are catching up to women's, where they all think they have to be animals, and they do turn into animals, but they become infertile, which is kind of backwards, because
Insane, dude.
you do it because you want to be more attracted to the opposite sex, but then
You can't do anything with that.
yeah, exactly. So, there's one more funny thing I want to show you. Like, we already cracked you, so I think we already won. But I'm curious if this is your kind of humor, because this is something that you shouldn't laugh at. This is, have you heard of the Instagram page Kids Getting Hurt?
No.
Sorry, my throat is a little itchy. That's why I just made that noise. Jamie, can you pull that up?
Yeah.
There's one specific one. This is humor that you can't laugh at. I think so. You're a dad now too.
This sounds.
This is what you got yourself into.
And this is a whole page of parents just sending in videos. This here, one of the best categories of kids getting hurt is the glass mirror maze. You know, where you go through the maze.
Put your hands up. What about that way?
Did not work on him.
Yeah, nobody laughs. This is not funny. We're all very disciplined and focused. Great. We've passed the test.
I want to know how you even found such a thing.
Because he's a monster.
Listen.
He's going to blame me because I found most of these, but the kids getting hurt was all Leon's idea. I just want to clarify that.
Sam, as you can see, this is not your typical podcast. So we can understand if you want to go back into break after this and never get on another podcast again.
He's going on a podcast detox for a year after this again.
I was at least hoping to smirk or smile. He's like, yeah, cool. I guess that was kind of funny-ish.
Dan Pena made him laugh.
What, the kids one or the previous one?
Nope. The joke that I just made. But anyways, never mind.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
So none of this is funny to you.
Well, Dan Pena I find pretty funny, but that's only because he's being serious and dudes are paying money to go and experience this. To me, that's like stand-up comedy. Like, that's fucking hilarious. But to actually think that that's like some good business advice, maybe it is, but just to receive it in that form is just, that's hilarious to me.
We were
Should
joking
Dan
about that.
Pena have a community on Skool, do you think?
I don't know.
He
Because
can do whatever he wants.
my friend said that basically the first day is just ripping into people, and then like the next 3 days he talks about mergers and acquisitions and how to they learn some things about how to buy businesses and how to get money. That's the only time, but the first 2 days is just him ripping and making them into men.
Imagine you sign up for it, thinking you're going to learn about merger and acquisition, and the first day he's just berating you, and you're just like, "But Dan, how do you buy a company?"
Yeah, with this
You're just
vagina
like-
with this vagina cream. That's how it starts.
M&A, masochism and abuse.
Branding. Yeah, but I think so. It's called QLA, Quantum Leap Academy, and we should go. We should all go, Sam.
Sam would go.
It'd be funny. Cool. I think that's. Did we win the challenge? Did we? What do you say, Sam? Did we make you laugh? Are you giving up a secret or?
Well, I mean, we're probably going to make in the next few weeks the biggest change we've made to the platform in like since we started the platform. So
I'm gonna make a hypothesis. Rebrand.
I'm going dark mode.
Rename. You gotta rename Skool into something else. What do you think, Imad? What do you think it's gonna be?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I'm just happy with the new updates he's doing.
Great.
are
Cool.
you still using Skool?
Yeah, it's my favorite
Yeah,
platform.
where's your community, Leon?
I
Do you
realized
not care
it's
about your community?
yeah, I realized I hate these people. I hate them. I don't want anything to do with them. I realized starting a podcast, like anytime I'm starting something new, I get humbled. I'm like, wow, this takes way more effort than I thought. How do I keep making this mistake that I think I'm so great at what I do that I can just like, oh, I already know this stuff. I'm having my ass handed to me every time I'm doing something that I'm like slightly shifting, right? I think everyone has this experience to a certain degree. And doing a community was something new for me. And then also starting a podcast. And so I was like, I need to choose one. And so I definitely want to have a community, but right now it's just about, okay, making this show great, making it better, distributing it better. And then from there, once the team is built and the machine is running, then launching a community of some sort or whatever else comes next, whatever else is on the priority list next. But yeah, huge fan of Skool and what you guys are building. And yeah, I would bet any money I had on you if I had any money, which I don't. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and spending this time with us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for humoring us.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for being patient and allowing us to be like this with you here. Cool.
Good.
Thank you.
See you later.
Have a good one.
Hi, Sam. Great meeting you.
We made it.
We did.
We made him laugh. I think he's not going to do a podcast for 2 years now.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
How do you think that went, Jamie?
The face at the end of that was like in movies I've watched where an alcoholic takes a drink after 10 years. He's like, fuck, I did a podcast. Why'd I do a podcast?
This is why I don't do them.
We brought him back to zero. Like, how many days has it been without
But
a podcast?
it's always your podcast. It was at that last time. Now it's at this time. You're his
You're the
relapse
problem.
drug of choice.
I think you also didn't explain to him the podcast, which I think made it even funnier.
No, you don't. You don't.
Which made it even funnier.
Throw him into the cold water.
And he was like, "Wait, it might be." And it's crazy because he's very analytical. So every time you'd make a joke, he would really think about it. He's like, "Sure," and I'm like, "Just let it happen. Let it happen." I'm like, the rebrand he took seriously, and I was like, No. This is a joking segment. Don't take it seriously, Sam. Don't take it seriously.
But I knew that going in. And here's the thing. I think he knows that it's a joke, but he just like... So I've also heard from people that know him really well that like you never know if he really likes you. And even if he really likes you, it oftentimes feels like he doesn't.
That's wild.
And so what I'm gathering is...
He doesn't like us.
He loved it. He loved it.
No, I think he had a fun time because you could see he genuinely had laughs, especially when we got the damn Pena and like...
Yeah, so here's the thing. All jokes aside, I learned a ton from Sam, especially around passion.
Yeah.
Especially around what do you enjoy? What would be fun? Because like here's what happened to me in the last few years. So I think a lot of people can relate to this. In my 20s, I was super obsessed with just optimizing everything, becoming successful. I didn't have any sugar. I would work as many hours as possible. And anytime I was socializing or I had fun, it came with a sense of guilt that like I'm not making progress, I'm not achieving my goals. And so I ended up building a business that I hated, that I sold, made a lot of money, that was great. And I was like, man, I don't want to do this again. I want to find something that I really enjoy. And I went through this process where you find your passion by asking friends and family for feedback, right? Just what do you think I'm really good at? What do you think is my unique power and, things that I'm really good at that other people struggle to do, right? And how do you see me? Just to get any kind of feedback. And I realized all my friends, they would tell me, yeah, you're like really disciplined and obsessed and intense and no BS. And my sister, the person who's known me my entire life, what she said was, you're really funny, you're really entertaining. And I'm like, what is this? What is the gap here? Because these people that only knew me for the past few years described me completely opposite to my sister, who's known me my entire life. And then when I left when I was 18, hasn't spent much time with me. So that kind of gave me this push, like maybe I should start a YouTube channel because I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. I never saw it as like a real thing, but it's like entertaining. It's fun. I'm like, maybe I could do that, right? And so I did that, but I ruined that passion for me. I did YouTube, but I ruined it for myself because I turned it into a job. Like this thing that I actually enjoyed from the beginning. It became about like, how do I make this successful? How do I add this intensity that I've learned over the last few years to it? And it turned it into just the next thing where I'm like, I should do this because this works, instead of like, what do I actually want to make? This mindset that I've learned. And so, yeah, that's kind of like what I realized is like, I brought this old mindset that I've learned in my 20s into my passion and ruin it. And I could have the most fun job in the world. I would still find a way to kind of ruin it, and it's kind of sad. I think a lot of people go through that. And for me, it's just about like, how do I get back this joy that I had as a kid? Because I was known as the class clown that was joking around, that was having fun. And how do I not only achieve big goals that I set, but also do it in a way where I'm like, that was so fun. I did what I really wanted to do. And you see this actually with the most successful people in history, like Steve Jobs or, Michael Jordan. They're known for loving what they do. And in theory, I loved YouTube, but the way I went about it was that I optimized things that would work rather than things that I actually enjoy this.
Yeah.
And like, this is kind of like this podcast is the this podcast is the product of this new approach, where it's like, I know what I could do to make this successful, but I wouldn't enjoy it as much as I enjoy this.
Right,
I know I could have guests on that I know, bring views. I know I could package them a certain way. I know I could do in-person interviews and it would do better. But then when that's successful, I have to keep doing that. And then I will in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm going to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Start from scratch again. So it's like choosing what's more fun, what's more energizing over results.
Well, he even said you're rigid. He's like, oh, it's interesting. You're not so rigid anymore. And it's interesting because it's like, I feel like this, in my opinion, is the most chill you've been. Doing this podcast, we're now, I feel like, and even from the first episodes to now, dude, you've definitely shifted. Because I've also been with you, so it's like, I've seen like, there's more humor, there's more like just letting go and just like, okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I can full testament see it.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in.
And it's difficult because one thing, I'm not used to it and I'm unlearning a lot of things, but also this type of podcast doesn't exist yet. There's all sorts of podcasts that in self-improvement in that specific niche that are all about just, we're interviewing experts and that's it. But I don't want to do that. I could do that. I know I'd be successful at it. I've already started a new channel. Like the new channel I started, the 4th episode got 5 million views, 100,000 subscribers almost, or 90,000, I should say. And I'm like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Scratch the whole thing, start over again. Because it's not, I know I wouldn't love this long term. And it's difficult, especially because results are slower that way. but like it's like this slow growth that's going to sustain itself over the long term.
100%.
And also, when you get comments on my old channel, I put out a video again on the Leon Hendricks channel.
I saw, dude.
People are just like, a lot of people are very positive, right? But when I was starting to do the podcast and stuff like that, people were like, oh my God, this is a new low. Like even on the recent video, like, oh, like it's so sad to see. So sad. He's hit a new low. And it's like, I'm getting all on the outside in terms of results, nowhere near the views. Things are not moving, it seems like. Negative comments. But like what's inside me is just like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you have to go through a few years, like a year or two of like this, just like being humbled and being tested. Like, do you really want this? Do you really want this? Yeah, and that's what I'm doing right now. But I've never felt so aligned with what I'm doing right now than I've ever had before. I'm having so much fun with it. And I think this is going to be my most successful project yet.
No, I mean, yeah, dude, it looks like you're having a lot more fun. It looks like, and everything's falling into place.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, you have me with you, so everything I help touch turns to gold. So you're welcome. That's
Great.
really the main part about all
Great.
this.
Yeah, I feel so much better now.
Yeah, cool.
open up
Just
like
want
this
to make it clear.
Yeah.
I didn't have to say that much in this whole process. I just had to say one thing, and that just solidified it.
Great.
So you're welcome.
And Leon, I'm sorry that my comments on your YouTube video hurt your feelings. It's my bad.
We have another one. We have another comedian.
Wow.
We got him
You
started
guys.
today.
But in all seriousness,
You
like
guys.
when you were making videos on that channel though, like at that time, like that was your customer base, your audience. And you like obviously if 90% of them hated something you put out, maybe you wouldn't do it again or you'd change it up. So now this is obviously going to be for a different kind of audience, but like how do you connect that? Because there's kind of that old thing of like don't ever read the comments, but then there's also take all customer feedback very seriously. The customer's always right. So like how are you managing that when you hear your old audience say things like that?
I love that question. Also, I've noticed whenever somebody says, I love that question, it's not because they love the question, it's because they love the answer they're about to give. So I have a good answer for this. I don't believe that comments under like a YouTube video from my old channel is actually my audience best feedback. Because there's only a very specific subset of people that actually comment on YouTube videos. I've never met someone in real life that has an anonymous YouTube account that consistently comments under things. And I've also found that the most loyal viewers and listeners don't comment. They just quietly lurk, they're consuming it. And the best feedback I've gotten always is just talking to people that have listened to it. Just like, let's hop on a call. And I've done this multiple times and I ask friends and I ask, people who listen to it. You get such different feedback. Like if you look at some of my videos, I get torn to shreds in some of the videos and people are like, oh, this is so terrible. And it's like, yeah, this person has only watched this one video of mine. They don't actually know who I am, but they just popped in for this one video, commented this thing, left, never thought about me again. Meanwhile, the people that watch consistently, they don't comment. And when I talk to them, they're surprised that I even got a comment like that. It's just like, who said that? That's what the,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's like different quality of feedback you can get. And the best quality feedback is people who watch consistently and listen consistently. And then who are also the type of person that you want to reach. Because you might talk to someone, you're like, you're not actually the target audience that I want to reach. And if you want me to talk about how to stop procrastinating, and I'm like,
That's not what we want.
there's other things that you should watch. Like if you're procrastinating, like this is like step number 1. I don't know, get to work. I don't know how to help you. I don't know, So yeah, I think if I have to summarize the purpose of this podcast and this project right now, like Sam talked about, helping 1 billion people find community. And initially it was just like, hey, let's build a cool platform here. I think the most common regret isn't that people don't achieve their goals. I think it's that they did, but they didn't enjoy the journey. I think that's way more common. That somebody looks back and like, oh, I've achieved all the things, and I wish I would have spent more time with people I love and I made more memories.
That's powerful.
And I just want to be one of the catalysts with this podcast to achieve your highest goals while having the most fun. Like, how can we learn and share and achieve things and also have fun and be goofy and make memories?
Chris Lee said success without fulfillment is the biggest failure.
Tony Robbins. His name is Tony Robbins. You mispronounced it a little bit.
I thought Chris Lee said that.
I don't know who Chris Lee is, but Tony Robbins says that all the time.
She's the guy for the leadership thing. He was the one running our thing.
Gotcha.
So he took it from him. Good to know.
Great. Yeah, it
Love
is. It is 100%. One of the fun things that I think would be cool for this podcast, by the way, curious to hear your thoughts on it, and also you guys in the comments, or DM me on Instagram, is having a bucket list for this podcast.
That'll be sick.
Like, here's some fun things. Like, one of the things I've always dreamed of is getting someone from the Driven podcast audience or the community married. 2 people that are listening to the podcast. They're looking, like almost like having like a bachelor or bachelorette series. Once our audience is big enough, I actually want to be like, okay, this is our best bachelor right here. This is our best
They can put
bachelorette.
applications.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be sick.
And we can collaborate with the different podcasts and be like, who's the best one in your audience? We got Brian here.
That's a great idea.
We'll get the misses from the Call Her Daddy podcast, and we'll present the
Oh,
mystery.
I don't know if that's the right audience for that our kind
It
of
depends
audience.
on what our bachelor is like. What kind of girl is he?
Is he watching Nelk or is he watching us? That's the real question.
Yes, Nelk should team up with the call. Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Call me Daddy and Nelk.
Or we have like different tiers, right? We have like, like the Bible girls, or we have and then we have the like.
So then we'll become a dating podcast.
Right. It's just a season. But
Valentine's
I think it'd
Day.
be fun.
I think
right?
it'd be hilarious. I think it'd be awesome.
one podcast we should do underwater. Don't know how, but we'll just do it.
Jesus, I don't know how I feel about that, but maybe sure.
The first podcast in the world underwater.
That'd be pretty shit. We'll fly out. That'll be literally. We'll just fly out somewhere and we'll just shoot on. That'd be pretty sick.
Another thing I wrote down: getting a pedicure with David Goggins.
Hilarious.
Doing a podcast like that.
Hilarious.
His toes are probably nasty, dude.
That's why.
It'll be a long podcast. It'll be a Joe Rogan twice over. It's like these. It's 3 hours per foot.
I love it.
And I think we should actually launch one of our idiotic $1 trillion business ideas. Have a Kickstarter. Like that's gonna be on the bucket list.
Okay,
There's a $1 trillion business idea that I actually launch.
Can that be the next week? So we just talk about the bucket list. Like we actually make it this week, and we're like, this is the new bucket list for all our viewers.
We could, yeah.
Okay.
And I also want to hear your submissions. What do you think would be a great bucket list items for a podcast that is all about achieving $1 trillion business ideas and having fun along the way?
Cool.
Thanks for listening. See you in the next episode.
Love y'all.
Peace.